Oh, I'm so happy you are here with me to draw. Look at our awesome castle that we get to make today. Okay, remember, it's just a bunch of lines that make shapes and create what we are drawing. Okay, I'm going to position my paper vertical, up and down. We also call that portrait. And I'm going to draw with a Sharpie marker. Remember, you can use a pencil if you want, or you can use a crayon, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Let's start with this baseline that's going to be where our castle is going to sit. And it does not have to be exactly perfectly straight across, however you want to do that. Okay, next we're going to make this little square that's going to start the entire structure of our castle. So I'm going to come up vertical with my line, over horizontal, and down vertical. Now I've given mine a little bit of a good size. So if I kind of gauge it with my finger, it's about as long as my pointer finger. So that's going to help you guys on getting it nice and big and taking up the space of our paper. Okay. Next, let's give our castle door. It's going to be a nice big arc up and over, like an upside down U. Now I'm going to make another line that just almost matches that, super close to what I just did, trying to stay pretty consistent, pretty the same, much the same in that little space. Okay, what is your doorknob going to look like? It can be a circle, it can be a little square, it can be a line with like a little drop down that might move or knock up and down. You can do whatever you want. Then I think it might look kind of cool to put some vertical lines on our door. You know, if it's like an old wooden creaky castle door. Now when my lines come close to my doorknob, I'm just going to bump and jump over to give that a little bit of room not to go through it. Okay, next I'm going to make the tall structures on either side. So we're going to just use part of this line. We're going to make it easy. I'm just going to continue to draw this line up, 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 up. And when I'm happy with how tall it is, I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to jump over a little bit and just copy that line all the way down. Now I'm going to do that same thing on the other side. So I'm going to come, actually, let me have my finger help me a little bit. So I'm going to come across and sort of measure where I need to stop, because I do want them to match as best I can. They don't have to be perfect, but little tricks like that can help you when you're drawing, when you do want things to match. Okay, next let's get the tops of these, which is basically a triangle on top of our tower. So I'm going to start with a horizontal line across. Now here's a little tip that's going to help get this straight. I'm going to come to the middle of this horizontal line I just drew. I'm going to jump up and make a little dot. And that's going to help be like we're going to call that a guide dot. So from there, oops, I'm going to make my upside down V. And when I get to that little line's edge, I can curve it just a little bit. Like that. Okay, we're going to do that exact thing on this side. So we're starting with a horizontal line. I'm going to go to the center of that, jump up a little bit. Hopefully I'm going to get pretty much the same height. All right, and let's finish off that little top of the tower with our upside down V. And it looks pretty good. Okay, now how about we add, you know what we need to do? We need to do this little spot across where our knights are going to be standing, guarding our castle. So this is a fun line to make. I'm going to come out with a really short little horizontal line, and then down with the same size line. I'm going to keep the lines the same length the whole time. Over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up. Okay. You guys, it's just repeating, right? So just concentrate, and we got it. Okay. Now remember, if I went too fast or you need to adjust it some way, you just pause it and come back to me when you're ready. Okay. Next, I'm going to make my tall tower in the center. So I'm going to start that vertical line up, 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 up. Now I want to leave enough space for the roof of it. So I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to make one to match. And we're just going to copy the same thing we did for those. Horizontal line across, little guide dot, upside down V, and we've got 3 awesome towers done. Okay, now we get to start on our fun details. Let's add these windows. Okay, let's start with a very thin rectangle shape. And we're going to add an upside down U or an arc on top. Now this is a little fun trick to do. Let's come over here to this right side where we joined it, where we ended it. And I'm going to make just a very short diagonal line. From that diagonal line, I'm going to draw a horizontal line over, and at the corner of that little, or I should maybe say at the end of my diagonal, I'm going to bring a curved line up, 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 and around. And you guys, look what it does. It sort of gives the look like our window has an inside. So it's sort of giving a 3D illusion, which can be so cool. Okay, let's do that on the other side. A really thin rectangle, an arc, or we can call it an upside down U, a very short little diagonal line from that little spot we ended it, and we're going to go straight over with a horizontal, and from the end of that diagonal we're going to come up and around. Now we're only going to see really one side, so that's sort of a tricky part, but we only see one side, so we need to pick a side that's going to be seen. So we'll do it like that. And let's do one more up here on this middle tower. I think you guys know what to do, right? Diagonal, horizontal, and arc it up and over. Okay, that's a fun detail to add. All right, but next, it might be one of my favorites. Next, we get to do our brick texture. Look, you guys know that our texture is the way something feels, okay? When we add things like this that look like bricks, it gives our castle wall sort of an interesting little detail. So these are really fun to make, and there's no right or wrong. I kind of like to group them in twos or threes. So let's start with a rectangle on one side. Then we're going to act like they are overlapping, like one is over the other. So we don't have to draw every line. We can come out and down. And what if we come out from this first one, down, in, but then we end it before the edge. Okay, and we can just do all sorts of things. There's, like I said, no right or wrong. You just do, they can sort of be wonky and crooked like that one, and they can be smaller or bigger. And we just want a couple, like maybe that side has 3 and that side has 3. I didn't really plan that, but it can be, I just sort of jump around from the top to the bottom and add what I want. This one could maybe have another one. And then when I jump to my middle one, my little texture bricks might be a tiny bit smaller because these two are closer to us and this one in the middle is a little bit farther away, just a little bit. So we can help that illusion of distance by drawing these just a little bit smaller. All of those little tricks help our eyes give illusions as artists when we have someone looking at what we've drawn. Okay, I think we're almost finished. Let's see, a couple of more details. Let's do, if you want to put our little flags on the top of our towers, we can do that. We'll start with a vertical line and a little circle on the top. Vertical line with a circle on the top. Vertical line with a circle on the top. And we can do just a simple sideways V, sideways V, sideways V. Okay, next, let's add that horizon line. So depending on how much of the like grassy hills you want showing, if you want the same, it's going to be almost to the top of your paper with just a little bit of sky. Or if you want a lot more sky, you can start about the middle of your paper and give your bumps and jumps around your castle. So let's do that. I'm gonna start down here and I'm gonna curve my line up, and when it gets to my castle, I'm gonna bump into it, jump over it, and bump into it, jump over it, bump into it, jump over it. That one's a little bit off, but that's okay. So those are my hills in the very, very distant background. Oh, I hope that you love your castle. I hope you love it. So remember, that's the first time that you've drawn it, if it's the first time, but you can always try it again and you can add different things because you know what's happening and what's coming. Or you could even turn your paper horizontal and give yourself a smaller castle, and then on the hill for the background you could add some different things like another castle or knights on their horses or people marching, whatever you want to do. You could have a festival going on and have fun little huts and things full of imagination. I hope you have fun making your castle and coloring it. And remember, you can color it however you want. I'm going to confess something. I colored with crayon first and then did my watercolor last. And guess what I wish? I wish I had either changed my color for the roof or given my sky more of a sunset color scheme. So I don't love the blue with the blue. It just doesn't really show up like I would want it to. So I should have done maybe an orange roof or a sunset sky and used oranges and yellows and pinks. So I want you to think about that ahead of time and learn from a mistake that I did. Because you know what? We're always learning and we're always remembering things, and we can do something different the next time. So have fun and be creative.